I will handle them in a way that I believe is going to be fair, and I'm not going to penalize a white person for being white or a black person for being black or anything else. They're going to be treated as people. They're going to be treated based upon the facts of why they're there, and the disposition of their case is going to be based upon the law and upon what ends up being fair to the community.
Welcome to the Lion's Den, hosted by Lance Bachmann.
Hey everybody, welcome to this special edition of the Lion's Den. I have Mark Zinman from Zinman Company, and he's actually running for judge in Newtown for District Magistrate against a good friend of mine, as you know, Mick Petrucci. But full transparency, Mark's been my accountant for over 10 years now here at One SEO and my other companies, and good friend of mine too. It's just kind of weird you're both are running for the same position, two friends of mine. So
you might have to flip a coin, Lance. If you
I'm not getting involved. I like you both very much. I know you're both.
So you're happy
men.
you don't live in the district.
I am thankful I don't live in that district. So as you know, I've known you for 10 years now. My sister loves you. You guys are great friends. You know, Karen, who used to work for you, very close to me, my sister also.
Right.
You're our accountant. You helped me grow this company. You helped me grow multiple other companies. Why are you running for district justice? I mean, I don't even know. Like, it's like we're talking. Like, it's mind-boggling to me.
So it's an interesting question that I've asked myself. It's something I wanted to do for more than 20 years. I just always was fascinated. I think if I wasn't an accountant, I would have been a lawyer. So that it's the only type of judge that you can be without a law degree. You have to pass a proficiency exam instead. And through my volunteer work that I've always done, I feel like it's an opportunity to take some of my knowledge and give it back to the community. And so one of the things I've done a lot of over the years, like I do phone banks for tax questions, like NBC might sponsor one. I did it through the PICPA for years. Mm-hmm. You get questions from people, everyday people who ask questions, and it's the question they want to ask. And to me, it seems like I knew the answer. Like, you don't realize what people don't know. You don't realize what skills you may possess. And if you can take those skills and give them to people that otherwise wouldn't be able to get the benefit of them, then that's community service. And so I feel that what I can bring to the court is my experience that I've had in 38 years of being an accountant. While I've said to you, while most people think of the court as like crime and punishment, the magistrate court deals more in civil than it does in criminal, and therefore the civil part is where I think that I can bring maybe a fresh approach. Most of the people like Mick, they come from law enforcement. They're either lawyers or they were in law enforcement. I think he was a constable, and he has a good reputation. He has a good reputation as a constable, good reputation as a judge. But you like chocolate? I'm vanilla. You know what I memean? It's just a different flavor.
So let's talk about that. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. And I do think you're both great people.
Right.
I have no dog in this fight. Like, when you asked me to come on, I was like, you know what? You're a good friend of mine. I was shocked you were running against Mick. We'd love to have you in Northampton, you guys. So why can't one of you pack up and move to Northampton?
I just left Northampton after 27 years. So
So why are you vanilla? Tell me why you're vanilla and mixed chocolate. Tell me what the difference is.
Because there's 62 district magistrates in Pennsylvania. There's not one CPA. Okay. I come from a completely different. I have experience with problem resolution with my clients. I have a lot of real estate experience. There's a lot of landlord-tenant things that come in front of the court. I just have a completely different skill set than Mick has. Doesn't mean it's good or bad. Give me a chance. I don't have the institutional exposure that maybe somebody from law enforcement who's been in that court. I've been in the court one time. I got a speeding ticket. Okay. I did. I settled it before.
But you're a Judge Judy guy, I'm assuming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, come on. I got lunchtime.
So, he's a good guy. I know you're a good guy. So you being a CPA, you grew your business. I know you have. I mean, hell, you represent me. I know you have about 30 plus employees. You've grown that from scratch. Do you feel like that gives you a better position over Mick to be a judge and make those civil decisions? I mean, I'm assuming there's probably more civil stuff in that magistrate court than criminal. I'm assuming. I could be wrong, though.
The statistics are about 80% are non-criminal.
80% are non-criminal.
And a lot of the criminal is, let's talk about the criminal. Let's just get that out of the way. So some of them are arraignments, okay, in which case you're setting bail, okay? A lot of that is going to end up being like, you've got guidelines to follow. The one area, and Mick talked about it, and I totally agree with him, is, you have kids, I have kids. They've done stupid things. I don't want some kid doing something stupid, and that ruins their lives. So the programs that maybe get them through community service or whatever and get to keep their records clean and can shelter, that's something that I want to continue, expand upon. I'm not saying that Mick's not doing a great job. I would like to do as good, if not better job than he is with that. But then you get to the civil side. I mean, there's going to be a huge deluge of landlord-tenant problems that are going to come to the court after the moratoriums are lifted on evictions. And I want just as much as landlords should get paid, I just as much don't want people kicked out on the street. And that's a dilemma that's going to take some finesse. Okay, I don't know what the solution is. Okay,
Here's a question: will you follow the law, or will you change the law?
No, I follow the law.
You'll follow.
I'll follow the law, but I'm looking for resolution, not decision. Okay, I mean, the law says you didn't pay your rent, you need to evict. But is there a way to mitigate this? Is there a way to make you happy and the landlord happy?
Almost like dealing with the IRS in your business.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's principles you got to stand upon, and then there's the ability to maybe. So I always call it in accounting, I call it the four sides of a box. Okay. So a client comes to me, your client comes to me, and says, Mark, here's my problem. I got this situation, right? What do I bring to that conversation? I bring my experience, of course, but I also bring objectivity. Okay. I mean, I bang my head on my desk as much as my clients bang their head on their desk with their same problems, right? Mm-hmm. But I bring objectivity. So then my job is to tell you, well, here are your choices. Here's the directions you could go. Which one works for you? Okay. And here's the consequences you face by any one of your choices. That's the same thing I could do as a judge. And then if I have to make a decision, I got to make a decision.
So you're looking more to be a mediator than a judge with a final decision at first?
I would like to have everybody walk out not entirely happy. That's a good sign of a compromise.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't have the experience of hearing those cases, but in real life, when there are disputes and there needs to be resolutions, whether it's a civil litigation, which I've been involved with my clients, whether it's just normal stress between partners and stuff like that, nobody's ever happy, but you got to come out with a solution that everybody can live with.
I agree with that. Now, you're going to go be a judge. You have a practice. You're a successful guy. You're going to take a pay cut.
Yep. Probably a decent sized one, yeah.
I think the job pays 80, 90, 100, maybe 120. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's 90 something, but I honestly don't know. I didn't even look.
Okay. Well, that's a big pay cut because I know what your hourly rate is. So, I mean, just from a practical standpoint, are you just at the point in your life where you're just like, I want to go make a difference in the community, I want to help the community, or are you kind of, is this an ego thing, or is this, I got free time on my hand? Like, what is it that you're saying, I'm willing to take a pay cut for a guy that's built probably I'm assuming the biggest accounting firm in Bucks County, if not top 2 or 3?
Yeah,
I think 2 or 3.
I don't really compare myself to others, but I'm happy with the clients I have, and I think we've done a great job with them. You're being one of them. It's an ego. Everything you do is ego. I think I could be better. If I didn't think I could be as good, if not a better job than Mick, why would I be running? So of course I have ego. Everybody has ego. But the thing is that I'll be 62 years old. Okay. I think I got a good 10, 12 years left of work. Okay. I live in the township where Mick is the judge. I can only run in the township where I live. So I don't have I can't run against Ben's.
Would you rather run against Ben's? Just on character alone.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
No.
Okay. I don't have any. Listen, I'm not throwing shade at my opponent, okay? I
think it's very classful. I think it's a good thing. Because I know Mick would do the same, because I know he's just not that kind of guy.
No, it's not. Listen, he got a chance to do the job. I like a chance to do the job if the voters give me a chance. If he wants to do it again next time, he could do it again next time. We could do this again in 6 more years, okay?
Okay.
But the idea is that I'm 62. Will I be running at 68? I don't know. So this is sort of, if it's something I want to do, this is my chance, okay? I can't have, if I run now and I win, I couldn't have more than 2 terms because the mandatory retirement age is 75. If I run now, I don't know that I run. If I don't run now, I don't know if I run in 6 years. And it's sort of just the right time. Now, you ask about my accounting practice. My clients are the reason that I have a business. My clients are the reason I get up every single day, and I will not abandon them. But I have built a very strong team. A very strong team that we work in a team, and Jolynn knows. They can pick up the phone, and there's probably 4 people they could call if they had a problem.
I even know Luke now.
Yeah, so there's always people around, and we do a very good job of communicating with each other. This job will come first, but I'm used to working 70, 80-hour week now, and that still leaves time after this job to do that. And so, yes, I'll have to transition. I'll have to pick and choose what I do, but I will still have some involvement. The judge, district magisterial judge, will come first. It needs to, because that's my promise to the voters. And
I don't know, and I know you said 80% of the people are civil up in the magistrate office. I think when you think of a district magistrate, most people don't think about the civil stuff. I know it's a lot of tenant, landlord.
It's small claims up to $12,000 is really what it is.
This is where I'll even give Ben's a shout out. He does follow the law when it comes to that kind of stuff, and he executes where, even though everyone knows how I feel about him, but at least he follows the law when it comes to that own property there. But I do think the majority of people that vote think it from a criminal standpoint of, is my neighborhood safer? Let's be honest, cops are under scrutiny right now for which I think is dead wrong that they are, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I think the majority of people you're going to have to target is not the civil people that probably are never going to wind up in that court that aren't voting. It's the mothers, the fathers with children. If their kids get a DUI, are you going to slam them? If they get caught with a joint, are you going to slam them? Underage drinking, are you going to slam them? Petty theft, I think that's where people look at the district magistrate and say, do you have a heart, and are you going to help reform and change, or are you going to sock my kid out of the box? Could you talk about that to the voters?
Yeah, I'm going to reform. Listen, you come in front of me with multiple DUIs, you're going to get hammered, okay?
I don't blame you for that.
You come with shoplifting multiple times, drug possession multiple times, you're going to get hammered. But I'm looking for rehabilitation. I have 3 grown children, and they each one of them made some dumb mistake. Could be driving, it could have been drinking, it could have been whatever. Most kids do. If you look at ourselves in the mirror, we probably did some stuff that we didn't get caught.
I got caught, but that's okay.
Yeah, whatever. But but here's the thing: don't want somebody's life ruined over being stupid. Okay, you got to give them an opportunity. But you want a safe neighborhood. You don't want to worry that you're not going to be. Yeah, you have to keep your doors locked. That you have to look outside your doors before you go outside to make sure it's safe. That's ridiculous. We don't need to do that right now where we live. We should never have to do that. And to the role that I can play in doing that, that's my problem. My family lives in Newtown. Okay.
Here's a question for you. On that point with keeping your family safe, do you think the police deserve the attack they've gotten for the last year to 18 months?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
I think the problem is, and your kids are a little younger. My kids are all adults now, and my daughter is like the most liberal person there is, and I love having conversations with her. Okay, and I think that there's they talk about systemic racism and all, and I think it's all true because it's the way you were brought up. You don't think you're racist, but maybe the perspective. Maybe people of color didn't get the same opportunities in prior generations, and so they're not where they belong. But there are many more good police officers than bad, and just because there's one bad apple doesn't make the rest of them wrong or bad. And no, I really think I'll give you my experience. I'll give you my experience in Newtown, right? So I talked about my speeding ticket, right? Mm-hmm. Tell you the whole story. So I'm coming home. It's 12:30 at night on a Friday night. My daughter lives in New York. I picked her up at the Hamilton train station. I'm driving them on the bypass. I probably was going 70 miles an hour, 55, right? There's a police officer standing right there in the median with his lights off, 12:30 at night. I pass him. I'm like, I turn around, pulls my lights on, pulls me over, roll down my window. I said, "You got me." Got me. He said, "You were doing 70, but I'll give you a license." Very, very professional, whatever. He comes back and he gives me a ticket. I said to him, "I want to let you know, I just feel I need to tell you why I was speeding. It was 12:30 at night, it's Saturday night or something, I'm coming home, and I wanted to get home. And the lights on the bypass, you go 55 miles an hour and then you get stopped at the next one. You go 55 miles and you get stopped, and I just wanted to make the light." He goes, "Yeah, I get that complaint a lot." He goes, "We just retimed them all last week. Should have been fine at 55.
Okay.
But it was a nice interview. And the guy said, he says, "You come there, you plead guilty, see if we can work something out." And he did. And it was fair. And I made a mistake, and he was willing to. I didn't even need to go see Mick. The police officer was fair. I can't ask for anything more than that. He did his job. I was wrong. I had to pay for my whatever that was, but it was not a negative experience.
So, and let's talk about that, because you brought up something about like systemic racism, and you're going to have things that you might feel are that way in your courtroom. Do you believe right now that I've never seen in my life, how me put it this way, Mark, 'cause I didn't straight up, I've never seen such a height of tension between race in my lifetime. No. And I'm 47 years old. I don't ever remember it being this so sensitive, so...
I think it's some of its media fueled.
It is, but it's getting more and more divided.
But it happened. Like you have a guy on trial right now for George Floyd. That tape happened. 30 years ago, there wouldn't be a tape of the guy having his knee on the neck. Whatever your side of that is, it wouldn't have even existed. So that is what heightens some of that stuff too, and makes you more sensitive to it.
It does. Do you think though that how do I ask this question directly to you, because you're gonna be there? You know, you said systemic. Some people have. I grew up in an orphanage, group home, foster care system. I'm white.
Well, just because of systemic racism doesn't mean that you win because you're a person of color or you get better treatment. It just means that it should be recognized that exists, and you make sure that your decisions are based upon the facts and not upon who's standing in front of you.
But what about all the people that don't see race, that don't get involved in it, that never have? I mean, you look at my floor. I mean, no offense, I hate to call it the United Nations, but it's so inclusive. You could call it the United Nations out there, and you could find somebody from probably almost every country, every walk of life.
Same thing in my office, Lance.
Are people talking too much in generalities? Is the media trying to push an agenda, do you feel? Because this stuff's going to come into your courtroom.
I don't know. I think there's some truth to it. There's always truth in what's being talked about, whether or not it's too over the top or not. But I think you just need to be fair. Like, I want to be fair. And you say you're in the United Nations. I have people from different countries that work for me, of different colors that work for me. All I want is a good employee who will take care of my clients.
100%.
That's all I care about. I don't care where they came from. I don't care what they did, what color they are. I don't even, it doesn't have any.
You're going to have those issues coming to your courtroom, though. There's no doubt about it, the way everything's going.
But this is I will handle them in a way that I believe is going to be fair, and I'm not going to penalize a white person for being white or a black person for being black or anything else. They're going to be treated as people. They're going to be treated based upon the facts of why they're there, and the disposition of their case is going to be based upon the law and upon what ends up being fair to the community.
You know, you're going to be running as a magistrate in Newtown. What do you say the biggest issues in Newtown are right now from your vantage point?
I think you're talking about that would affect the court?
Yeah, that's going to come at all. Like, what would you say the biggest issues right now?
I think probably the biggest pent-up issue is going to be landlord-tenant, which is
I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I think anyone that tells you that's probably not going to be.
I mean, I have clients that listen. I've lived the life through the pandemic of my clients. Some have done well. I have a lot of restaurant clients that I've been on the phone with them crying. They've closed. Mm-hmm. They've had to lay off all their staff. They didn't know if they were going to be able to make payroll. I mean, it's been horrible. It's been absolutely horrible. And in most cases they've survived. But the unknown has been what is unknown. And then I have lots of people that own real estate, and they would get calls from their tenant, and a tenant's rent was $1,000, and they sent $800. They said, well, it's COVID. The answer wasn't whether they could afford the $1,000. The answer was it's COVID, so you're getting $800.
100%.
And that kind of stuff, it's ridiculous. How are you going to give me the other $200? Would have been a reasonable answer, and should have been the answer. So yeah, that's in our area. I mean, those are people that rent homes in Newtown.
Oh, you're going to see landlord tenant at an all-time high. That's anyone tells you that's not going to be one of the biggest issues. Here's a question for you.
On the side of what would be more of the criminal side, I think drugs. Drugs is the biggest issue. I
agree with you on that. Charlie Icak was on this show. He said, it's almost criminal what the government has done to these businesses, shutting them down. We're way past a year of the 2-week curve, right? We're way past it. I know me and you have no problem saying I have very different belief systems on what this pandemic is.
And I have lots of clients that have different ones. And the fascinating part of what I've done is I'm able to have a conversation with you and other people in a way that doesn't offend each other. We can have a conversation and then,
Do you believe it's political at this point, though?
What part is political?
Do you think the shutdowns, Florida's wide open, Mississippi's wide open? I mean,
Well, I
Texas
think-
is at an all-time low in cases, and they're wide open with no mask mandates. But no one's discussing that. But yet, we're at an all-time high. Other
Well, I think the
places
only
with
thing,
lockdowns.
I just got my second vaccination on Friday,
Okay.
and a lot of our friends are getting vaccinated, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks, anybody over 18 who wants a vaccination can get a vaccination. So I think we're coming to the end, and I was in Florida we went down for a couple of weeks, right? But you could eat out every night. Texas is a warm state. I don't know the difference of people inside and outside of getting COVID. Do I think it's wrong? We've had this discussion.
You're a bright guy.
I wear a
Is
mask.
Is there any data to prove that, though? Like, you get COVID not outside, but inside you will. People are building tents here in Philadelphia that duplicate the inside of the restaurant.
Yeah, I think that's so. Are we inside a plastic thing, but are we only inside the building?
But that's what, it's like, there has to be some political piece to it at this point, don't you? I mean, for me, I think it's just dead political. It's just it's become insane.
I think what was a health issue became politics.
100%.
Do I really believe that if I put my mask on right now that I'm going to keep you safe? I have no idea. Okay?
And you're a bright guy.
But in the absence of not knowing that I can't keep you safe,
How's it gonna hurt?
I'll put it on.
Yeah, how's it gonna hurt?
How's it going to hurt?
That's
I
how-
get in my car, I take it off. I mean, I carry it with me. I mean, we've been very careful with who we've been around. I've had, this is a true story. I have a client of mine, a 91-year-old man. I go see him every year. He's like, he won't send his stuff in. Can't you come see me? I'm like, I'm worried about COVID. He goes, I promise I won't give you COVID. I go, I'm not worried about me getting COVID. I'm worried about giving you COVID. He says to me, well, how about if we go in the garage and we'll work in the garage and I'll open the door, right? So after I got my first shot, I went up to see him.
Nice.
They had their second. I waited it out, and I felt comfortable enough. It wasn't there more than a half hour, or whatever. But I got to service those people. I'm going to go start seeing some clients now that I haven't seen. But I won't let people come in the office because most of my office hasn't been vaccinated. So I want to control the outside people. There are people come in and drop off or whatever, but we're not having seen clients because I don't want it. First of all, I need to protect my employees.
100%.
And so part of it is even if you talk about percentage, even if it's a small percentage that you could get it, if one of my employees got sick from one of my clients, I would feel horrible. Same way if I got somebody sick. So I rather listen to Dr. Fauci than any of the politicians. I rather listen to the health professionals that are on there. I have a client of mine who is she's been heavily involved with Johns Hopkins with their tracking. I look to her for advice of what's going on. And a lot of the medical people didn't know what was going on. So it got politicized because there was no right answer.
And it killed a lot of your businesses around here that will never come back. That's the sad part.
I think the honest answer to that question is the businesses let's take away businesses that couldn't open because they couldn't meet the inside or outside requirements, right? Mm-hmm. Businesses that were weak got killed. Businesses that were strong got injured. But I will say that with the PPP loans we help clients get, it's PPP 1, PPP 2, the employee retention credit. The government's pumped a lot of money. I think those businesses will be okay. I saw one of my clients who had is Ben and Nerves. Been my client for 35
Mm-hmm.
years. The owner of Ben and Nerves was at my wedding when I got married 35 years ago. They never had outdoor seating. Their population of people that come there are probably over 50 if you average. They had a real rough time. I just saw them the other day. They're finally opening up. People are finally coming in. They're finally able to get people seated in a restaurant. They're finally.
Let's talk about what you've done for businesses. Because I remember we had a conversation in your conference room with Karen, who I love. And Karen knew me better than you probably 7-8 years
At the time,
ago.
yeah.
Karen definitely. And I'm not a big risk guy. People would see me watch. It's like he has to take big risk all the time. I'm more conservative than you. You actually said to me, Lance, no, don't pay your house. Like I'm like, absolutely not. I'm doing like. And you said a comment. Weak businesses were killed, which I don't believe were any fault of their own. I don't believe that. But I think people leverage so much money sometimes in business, they never think it's going to rain. They don't save for the bad times. Where I've always said to you, I grew up so poor, you ain't taking back what I built. Like, I'm okay with what I got. Can you talk about that a little bit in business of what you've seen from your side? Because you've been doing this a long time. Do a lot of people have the Lance Bachmann belief, pay cash for everything, really don't leverage everything? Or do you see a lot more people taking out a ton of debt?
No, debt. So there's good debt and bad debt. I always say it
I
all the
know,
time.
but here, I'm asking a simple question. Do the
Okay.
majority of business people do it the Lance Bachmann way, the Sam Zeitlin way, or do the majority of people, that means
The majority,
cash,
the
papers
majority of
off,
my clients
or
are not leveraged. I preach not to be leveraged.
do you think the majority of businesses out there are leveraged?
I think the majority are. I think the majority are the ones that want to. Here's the thing: nobody could have predicted COVID, but nobody could predict a massive snowstorm for 5 days. I mean, it could have been anything. Nobody could predict a tornado. Nobody could predict something else that's going to internet outage for weeks. Hurricane Sandy was a good example of something that really was disruptive and hurt a lot of businesses, and businesses went under and people went under over Sandy, and that was
A natural act.
yeah. So I think that in order to be strong, you need to rely on yourself. So, I'll tell you where this goes back. It goes back into the 90s. In the 90s, you remember this, I'm just going to mention the savings and loan crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So we had people used to live before the early 90s on lines of credit. So any business that had receivables, like, if you're billing your people and they owe you
I
100,
know.
you go out and use the line of credit to help you get through, right? Well, all of a sudden, banks are calling line of credits for people that are paying. They were calling lines of credits. We were getting deals. We were getting $40,000 on 100 that we paid cash. It was stupid. And then 2 years later, the banks came back wanting to give everybody money. And we just told our clients, you can't live that way anymore. You have to be self-funded. And so when I talk about weak businesses, the ones that were probably over-leveraged are the ones that had no room to maneuver. You have to be able to pivot.
The banks will give you the biggest umbrella on the sunniest day, and they won't give you a set of rain boots in a tornado and the worst rainstorm. They're very crazy to deal with.
They're very well. The only true bank that is actually fair is the SBA.
We have different opinions on
okay,
this,
but the
yeah.
SBA has been very fair over the years with people. But banks themselves, you may put your finger up and say which way the wind's blowing.
100%.
It's always the way it is. I have a client, Ben Ner's a great client, been in business for 60 years. You want to get a loan from a bank? No, they're a restaurant. We don't loan to restaurants.
Good question for you. You're going to be maybe a judge here.
Yep.
Cancel culture is huge. What would you feel if you saw that come into your courtroom where people are saying, let's cancel? I'll give you an example. Jim Worthington, the NAC.
Yep.
Businesses started cancel courting him for really his own belief system, not being a white supremacist, he was a supporter of Donald Trump. Do you think cancel culture is good, or do you think it's bad overall?
I think it's bad overall.
Okay.
I think it's bad
appreciate
overall.
that.
I don't think that people should. I think well, Jim's put himself out there, so he's made himself sort of good or bad. But he's made himself
you're
a more
going to be
relatable.
out there as a judge.
No, but you take the individual circumstances. I know. I don't think Jim Worthington should be penalized for being a Trump supporter or having a rally. I know Jim. I've had business dealing with Jim.
That's the point of cancel culture. If you don't go with the pretty much left ideology, you get canceled. I mean, that's what it becomes. I mean, there isn't too many right people canceling the left. It's normally the left canceling the right. And I know Jim well, obviously, and I couldn't believe I was watching this on a local level. I was like, this is crazy. Now, you as a judge, you're going to see that. Will you try and say to people it's okay for other people to have a different political belief system than you?
So early in this conversation, we said that you and I don't see eye to eye on some things.
100%.
And we've had conversations. Have I made you feel uncomfortable in those
No,
conversations?
I consider you a very good friend of mine.
No, but
I trust
but
you with my
that-
money,
but
the most
that- but-
important thing besides my kids.
But that's the same way with everybody else. I value your opinion. Okay, I want to listen to what your opinion is, but you still got to do the right thing, whatever that might be. And in a court that I'll be overseeing, then the ultimate right thing is what's the law.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's what we have to end up getting to. So no, but anything that makes one person dominant or another person subservient due to something in their life, their political belief, the color of their skin, that has no place in this anymore.
100%.
There's no place.
Here's a question for you on the final roar.
Sure.
Some of the community people are going to be watching you. Why should they vote for you, and what can they expect out of you?
Well, I think that in my entire professional career, I've always given myself 100%. I always dive into everything I do. Okay? And this is something I want to do, and I'll dive into it. You'll have 100% of Mark Zinman. You'll have 100% of my knowledge. You'll have 100% of my commitment. You'll have 100% of my wanting to hear and learn. One of the things I've really enjoyed is that I've never run for anything. I've never even really been political, right? So I decided to run. So now I have to like go out and talk to other politicians and meet the council people and meet our Bucks County representatives and meet the Democrats of Newtown and the Democrats of Upper Makefield and all these people I never met till 3-4 months ago. And I find it enthralling and exciting and interesting. It's just something different. And, you know, I'm a people person, so, you know, I'm looking forward to the opportunity. I hope I win. I'm taking it one day at a time. I said to my wife, let's get the ballots in. We got the ballots in. Now we got to get through the primary. Let's get through the primary, and then we'll get through the general. And then if in November I'm the selected thing, then my entire focus finishes how I'm going to be able to serve Newtown Township, Borough, Wrightstown, Upper Makefield, that district.
You know, from the bottom of my heart, I want to wish you good luck.
Thank you.
I really do. You are a great man. You're a good man. You're a family man. You have a lot of core values. I got to know you over 10 years. You've always been good to me. Any of my other clients ever referred to you. You've gone out of your way. I can only speak to the character that I know about you. Newtown would be lucky to have you. I think it sucks that it comes down to you and Mick, who's another great guy in my opinion. I have no doubt. I want to wish him the best of luck. You the best of luck, Mark. It's a shame you couldn't be in Northampton, one of you two, because Northampton could use a good person like one of you two,
Maybe
in my opinion.
Maybe after November, Mick will move to Northampton.
That's between you two. You two figure it out. Thank you for being on the den. I
Thank you,
appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to follow me at Lance Bachmann on Instagram and Twitter. Follow me on Facebook at Lance Bachmann Digital. And every Thursday we drop a new podcast. Don't forget to listen to it. We're giving out great content. And remember this is the time to build your business right now. Let's effing go, everybody.